All right, so today we are starting 4.1, solving equations using addition and subtraction. There are a few things that I'd like you to write down, so if you would, please pull out your red pen and fill in the section of the rules that we need to know for today's lesson. First things first, A says identify the variable. Someone raise your hand and tell me, what is a variable? Zariana, what is it? It's a letter. Very good. Okay. So we're going to try to find what the letter is. Next up, it says move the number that is keeping the variable from being alone with an inverse operation. Does anyone remember what the word inverse means? Kyla?
Like switch?
Not to switch. An inverse is an opposite. Everyone say inverse means opposite.
Inverse means opposite.
All right, so inverse operations are operations that undo each other. Guys, what's the opposite of addition?
Subtraction.
Subtraction, very good. What's the opposite of subtraction? Addition, very good. And what would the opposite of multiplication be? Division, very good. Okay, then here's the next rule. What you do to one side, you must do to the other. So think about your siblings. Whatever your parents do for an older sibling or a younger sibling, you want them to do the same thing for you so that they are fair. So in this case, what you do to one side, you must do to the other. And finally, equations will only have one solution to the variable that makes it true. Okay, so we're going to use the rules that we just talked about to help us with problem A. It says to solve the equation and then check your solution. Everybody read me what rule A is that we wrote down. Go ahead. Identify the variable. Class, what's the variable in problem A? X. Very good. Now, problem B, it says move the number that is keeping the variable from being alone with an inverse operation. Now, here's the deal. Do you guys see this equal sign right there? Okay, so basically the equal sign splits our problem. This is the left side of the equal sign. This is the right side of the equal sign. So looking at this, we said our variable was x. What is not allowing the x to be alone on the left side?
The negative 5.
Okay, now we are either going to say add by 5 or subtract by 5. So what's not allowing it to be alone?
The negative 5.
Add by 5 or subtract by 5? Which one? Subtract by 5, okay? So subtract by 5 is not allowing the x to be alone. This tells us we need to do the opposite of subtract by 5. Class, what's the opposite of subtract by 5? Add by 5. So directly underneath the subtract by 5, I'm going to put an add by 5. Then it says on problem C, what you do to one side, you must do to the other. So remember, this is like the great divide. On the left side, I added by 5. So guess what I'm going to have to do on the right side?
Make the negative 1.
I have to add by 5. Okay, now I want you to draw a line, basically making this like a big subtraction and addition problem. As you can see this equal sign right here, it's very important to have neat work. So we are going to drop down the equal sign directly underneath there. Now let's focus on this right here. Class, what happens to a negative 5 and a positive 5?
0.
It equals 0. So I want you to take your pencil and just cancel it out. As you can see, on the left side of the equal sign, the only thing that is left is that x right there. Repeat after me. Drop it down.
Drop it down.
We are going to drop down the x. Now we're going to come to the right of the equal sign. I have a negative 1 and a positive 5. Class, same sign or different sign? Same sign, add and keep, different sign, subtract and take. What is negative 1 plus 5?
Positive 4.
Positive 4, because we take the sign of the larger number. And that is our answer. Now, it also tells us to solve the equation, but then it asks us to check our solution. This is the way that you check your solution. Do you guys see the original problem right there? We are going to take that original problem and rewrite the original problem down here. The first thing you want to do is put your equal sign. Everybody drop down the equal sign directly underneath the other equal sign. Now I'm going to write the original problem. X minus 5 equals negative 1. Notice once again, all I have done is rewritten the original problem. Okay, now that I have rewritten that, do we know what this x is?
Yes.
Yes, look, we discovered it right here. So instead of that x, I am actually going to erase that x, and I'm going to put the solution, 4. The next thing you want to do is drop down your equal sign. On the left side, Kyla, what is 4 minus 5?
1.
Not 1,
Negative 1.
-1, okay? And then we're going to take this and we're going to drop that down right there. Class, does -1 equal -1? Yes, you're going to give yourself a mini check mark, basically a check mark that's the size of your number, because -1 equals -1. That means it did work out, and our answer up here is correct. All right, we're going to do an example B that looks very much like example A. First things first, our rules at the top tell us to identify the variable. Kaylin, what is my variable? P, very good. Gerard, what is not allowing P to be alone? Okay, now I want you to use these words. Add by 5 or subtract by 5. So what's not allowing P to be alone? Subtract by 5, very good. So, Heather, what is the opposite of subtract by 5? Add by 5. Class, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. So I'm also going to add by 5 on the right side. Now let's draw our line and drop down your equal signs. Okay, so remember, you're basically thinking this is the left side and this is the right side. Okay, so on the left side, Aubrey, what is -5 plus 5? 0, you're right, it cancels out, and all that's left over here on the left is P. So everybody drop down the P. Halen, what is -2 plus 5? Positive 3 is correct. That means our answer is P equals 3, so everybody box it in. Now I have to check it. Remember, whenever we're checking it, we are taking the original problem and rewriting it. So everyone drop down your equal sign, and let's write the original problem. P minus 5 equals -2. Brandon, did we discover what P equals? Yes. What does P equal? 3. So I'm going to erase that P, and I am going to plug in what 3 equals. Everybody drop down the equal sign. Zariana, let's work from left to right. What is 3 minus 5? -2. And now I'm just going to take this and drop it down. -2. Class, does -2 equal -2? Yes, because they do equal each other. Give yourself a mini check mark saying that that is correct. The way we did our work and we solved the problem is correct. Okay, here we go on to problem C. What did rule A tell us to do, class? Identify the variable. Christopher, what is the variable? Y. What is not allowing Y to be alone? Okay, we're going to use these words. Add by something or subtract by something. Add by 1/2. Christopher, what is the opposite of add by 1/2? Very good. What you do to one side, you must do to the other side. Heather, what happens to positive half and negative half? You are right. They cancel out, they equal 0, and on the left side, I am simply left with a Y. Everybody drop down your equal sign. Remember, once again, you want to drop it down to where it's right underneath the other one, okay? Halen, what is 4/2 minus 1/2? 3/2 is correct. So our correct answer is Y equals 3/2. Now, because this started out as an improper fraction, I am going to allow you to keep your answer as an improper fraction, okay? Now we have to check it. Does anyone remember how we said we checked it before? Zariana, what do I do?
Rewrite the original problem.
Good job. We're going to take this original problem and we will rewrite it. So I drop down the equal sign first. Y plus 1/2 equals 4/2. Gerard, do we know what Y equals? Yes, what does Y equal? 3/2. So everybody erase the Y and plug in 3/2. Drop down that equal sign. Anson, we're going to work on the left side right here. What is 3/2 plus 1/2? 4/2 is correct. And Caitlin, does 4/2 equal 4/2? Yes, it does. Give yourself a mini check mark. That means it did check out. The next one is doing the same idea, but now it is with decimals. Zion, identify the variable. W. Adam, what is not allowing W to be alone on the left side of the equal sign?
Plus 13.2.
Okay, using these words, add by 13.2. That is correct. So, Adam, what is the opposite of add by 13.2?
Subtract by 13.2.
Very good. So, class, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. All right, I'm going to drop down my equal sign. Brandon, what happens to this? Positive 13.2 and negative 13.2. You're right. They cancel out. That equals a 0, and I am left only with this W on the left side. Now we need to focus on the right side. 10.4 minus 13.2. Okay, so let's focus on that. Guys, do I have the same sign or different sign? Same sign, add and keep, different sign, subtract and take, okay? So you could do it with your calculator or off to the side. You're going to put the bigger number, 13.2 minus 10.4. Okay, so we've got 2.8, and then take the sign of the larger number. What was the larger number, a positive or a negative? A negative. So the correct answer should have been W equals negative 2.8. All right, so let's check that. Who can help me with the checking part? What should I do, Christopher?
First we drop the original problem down,
Okay.
and then if we didn't already, you change the W to negative 2.8.
Okay, very good. So instead right here you can see I'm plugging in negative 2.8.
And then you add them, you subtract it to see if it's well, yeah, you subtract it to
Okay,
see
so what is negative 2.8 plus 13.2?
10.4.
10.4. And Christopher, does 10.4 equal 10.4?
Yes.
Yes, give yourself a mini check mark because it did check out. All right, so I want you guys to go ahead and flip to the next page. And we've got a modeling real life problem. It says you have $512.50. You earn additional money by shoveling snow. Then you purchase a new cell phone for $249.95 and you have $482.55 left. How much money did you earn shoveling snow? I'd like everyone to take your pencil and underline that first sentence right there. That's how much money you started off with. So we're going to write that down. $512.50. Then it tells us you earn additional money by shoveling snow. If you are earning more money, do you think I should add, subtract, multiply, or divide?
Add.
We are going to add. Now, does it tell us how much money we are earning?
No.
No, it does not. So we're going to put a variable. That means we don't know it, so we're just going to put an X for now. We know we earn some amount of money. Then it says that I purchased something. Everyone take your pencil and I want you to just do a little squiggly line underneath the word purchase. If you purchase something, does that mean you get to add, subtract, multiply, or divide the money? You're losing it. So you have to subtract the money. Does it tell us how much that cell phone is?
$249.95.
All right, $249.95. Looks like you got a good deal on that phone. $249.95. And then it tells us how much we have left at the end. Circle that amount. That means that's what it's going to equal in the end. $482.55. Okay, so we have come up with a little sentence here that's going to help us figure out how much money we earned when shoveling snow. On the left side, if you look, I need to add and subtract these amounts, and then we're going to circle the X because it's the only lone X on the left side. Do you guys remember doing problems like this? Okay, so we want to combine those constants. I want you guys to go ahead and combine that right now. All right, Anson, when you combined those, what did you get? Okay, so if we're reading it as money, $262.55. All right, then we've still got to bring down that plus X and then bring down equals $482.55. Now we have a problem that looks like all the problems we've been doing today. Okay, so let's identify the variable. What's the variable, class? X. Kyla, what is not allowing the X to be alone?
$262.55.
Okay, so remember, we are either adding that or we are subtracting that. So is this right here in the problem asking us to add that money to the X or subtract it to the X? We are adding it. So we want to get rid of that with an inverse operation. What is the opposite of add by 262.55? Subtract. Very good. So what you do to one side, you must do to the other. All right, you guys do that part on your own. All right, so on the left side, we know that these are going to cancel out, and we are left with x equals, did anyone catch what x equals?
$220.
Very good, $220. So then I come back up here to my final question, and it says, how much money did you earn shoveling snow? The correct answer is $220. All right, so today I gave you a blue piece of paper that says words into math. So these are just some important things that I want you to know and understand. When you see these words right here, add, sum, increase by, together, more, plus, and, those are going to be addition words, okay? Let's come over here. Read me what some of these subtraction words are, class. Subtract, decrease by, take away, difference, and minus, okay? Next up, let's look at this. Product times of, multiple, and twice. Those are all words that you may see in a story problem that mean to multiply. Finally, let's look at these ones. What are those ones saying? Per, quotient, shared, divided by, and ratio. Okay, all of those are going to be division type words. Let's look at this next one. This is a big old equal sign. The biggest one that I want you to know that you will see is the word is, okay? Then we have are, gives, were, and totals. Next up, you'll see some parenthesis words and some turnaround words. We are going to focus on those another day, but we will need to know those soon. And finally, I'd like you to take out your red pen, and I want you to put a little fluffy cloud. Anytime you see the word a number, you will write in a variable. Remember, a variable is any kind of a letter. Okay, so now we're going to use some of those things that we just talked about to help us write a word sentence. Anytime that we said you see the words a number, what does that stand for? What did you write in that fluffy cloud? It stands for a variable. So the variable we like to use the most is probably an x. So everybody write an x. Next, you will see right here where it says added to. Guys, what sign do you think is added to? Plus, very good. What am I adding it to? Plus a 5. So then we're going to write a 5. Anytime you see that word is, what does is stand for? Equals, and what does it equal? 12. Very good. Okay, so you just came up with a word sentence. A number added to 5 is 12 is the same thing as x plus 5 equals 12. For the next one, it says a number divided by 12. Anytime that we have divided by, I actually do not want us to do this little symbol. Instead, I want us to do a fraction bar. Okay, so what would we put for this part that says a number?
X.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead right there, and we will just put an x. Whenever you see this part, as I just said, where it says divided by, you're going to put a little fraction bar. What am I dividing it by? 12. So we're going to do x over 12. When you see that next part that says is equal to, what am I putting?
Equal sign. 5.
An equal sign. And then finally, the last thing is it says it's equal to 5. So we're just going to put a 5. Okay? I'd like you guys to try problem C on your own. All right, so Kaylin, it says a number decreased by 4 totals 8. What did you get?
X minus 4 equals 8.
That is correct. All right, and that is how writing word sentences works. All right, for the next section, we've got a think, pair, share section. It asks us to solve the equation and then check the solution. I want you guys to do problem A on your own. Okay. Identify the variable, class. C. What is not allowing C to be alone? Use these words. Subtract by 12. What's the opposite of subtract by 12? What you do to one side, you must do to the other side. This cancels out, and I'm left with C equals, what's the answer? 8. Now we're going to check the solution, okay? So instead of writing C minus 12, I'm going to plug in 8 minus 12 equals negative 4. Class, what is 8 minus 12? Negative 4. Does negative 4 equal negative 4?
Yes.
Yes, give yourself a mini check mark.
She asked for.
All right, Adam, what is not allowing the K to be by itself?
Positive 8.4.
Okay, not just positive 8.4, but add by 8.4. What's the opposite of add by 8.4?
Subtract by 8.4.
Very good. And what we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. This cancels out, and I'm left with K equals, guys, looking at this side, same sign or different sign? Same sign, add and keep. Add the numbers, keep the sign. What's the answer?
14.7. Negative 14.
Okay, add the numbers. 3 plus 4 is 7. 6 plus 8 is 14. And keep the sign. Okay, you've got to still remember back to those rules we learned at the beginning. Same sign, add and keep. Different sign, subtract and take. Now we can plug this back in. Negative 14.7 plus 8.4 equals negative 6.3. Looking at this, class, same sign or different sign? Same sign, add and keep. Different sign, subtract and take the sign of the larger number. Okay, so guys, what is negative 14.7 plus 8.4? Gerard, what was it? Negative 6.3. Class, does negative 6.3 equal negative 6.3? Yes, that means it did check out. Okay, now if you got a different answer, you should have plugged it in right here, and then that would have shown you something went wrong. Okay, that's the point of checking our answers, is to see is that correct or not. The final problem says, explain if the equations m plus 3 equals negative 5 and m minus 4 equals negative 12 are equivalent. So we're going to write that first equation over here. And then we'll write the other one over here. Does anyone know what this word equivalent means? Equal. Okay, so we're going to see if we get the same answer for both of these. Who would like to do this part for me over here? Kaylin, what should I do first?
Oh, identify the
Okay, what is the variable? M. What is not allowing M to be alone?
subtract by 3.
Add by 3 is not letting it be alone, so we are going to subtract by 3. And what's the answer?
M equals what? Positive 2. Oh, no.
Same sign or
Yeah,
different sign?
Negative 2.
Same sign or different sign?
Same sign.
Same sign, add and keep. Add the numbers, keep the sign.
8. Yeah. Negative 8.
Negative 8. Okay, who would like to do the other one for me? Christopher, identify the variable.
M.
What's not allowing M to be alone?
Subtract by 4.
How do I get rid of subtract by 4?
Add by 4.
Add by 4. What you do to one side, you must do to the other side. This cancels out. Christopher, what is the answer?
Negative 8.
Okay, class, is that equivalent?
No.
Yes.
Does negative 8 equal negative 8?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so the answer is yes. Both solutions or both answers equal negative 8. All right, so tonight's homework is going to be a flipped classroom. All right, so you're going to go into our Google Classroom and find the link for our flipped classroom.